people, they go about achieving their goals in completely the wrong way. They think, okay, so I want this goal. What do I have to do in order to achieve this goal so I can become this person? But this is like I said, the completely wrong way around. This is basically what they do. They think, oh, like what actions do I have to take? So what do I need to do in order to have so I can become the person who has high status, who has freedom, who is like successful. And this is how most people go about it, but this will never work, because it doesn't work like this. The real thing, what you need to do is, first you need to become the person. Then once you have a certain identity, then you will take the action, so the do, and then you will have. This is not the right framework. This is the right framework. Be, do, have. First you have to become the person, and you have to become the person who can take those actions really easily, because like if it's your identity, then you don't have to force the action. Here you are forcing the action, but this will only be a matter of time before you relapse, before you go back into your old patterns, old habits, because you still are not the person. Like this is such an important thing. You don't chase the goal, you chase the identity who can easily achieve the goal. So this is the right framework. Okay, so once we understand this, first we have to become the person, then we have to do the action that matches the identity, and then reality eventually will come to fruition. So how do we become the person who can easily achieve our goal? Well, that is something that many different great thinkers and philosophers agreed upon. And that is basically this. We become what we think. We become what we think about, or we become what we focus on. You know, we all know the famous quote, like, where attention goes, energy flows. But most people, they don't understand the depth of it, and I didn't either. We become what we think about. So many great people said this, like Buddha, like Marcus Aurelius, like so many of the new philosophers as well, like Bob Proctor, and like so many people. And this is what it's all about. Because for example, monk mode, it doesn't work. I tried monk mode. It was, I think 1 year ago, I experimented with many different lengths. So with 30 days, with 60 days, but even with 90 and 100 days. And monk mode, for any of you who don't know it, in that certain period, you wouldn't do certain things, certain bad habits, and you would do certain good habits. So this is like all action based with the doing, and you expect like something out of it. But like I said, this isn't how things work, because what starts to happen is when I started the monk mode, like every time that it was happening, for example 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 100 days, let's take the 100 days. Around, and this happened with all of the lengths, around halfway of the monk mode, I started to think about what I would do when the monk mode was over. So even though I wasn't doing the bad habits, I was thinking about them. And even though I was doing the good habits, like my mind was, oh, I need to finish this for this many days, and then after that I can go to festivals. Like I was telling my friends, okay, I won't go to this festival right now, but when the monk mode is over, we can go to that festival. No, I won't play video games now, but when the monk mode is over, we can we can play those video games. So what starts to happen was, because I was thinking about it, I was giving it energy, because where attention goes, energy flows. So even though I wasn't doing the bad habits, I was thinking about them. So I was giving it more and more energy. So the urges started to get bigger and bigger, and I was thinking about it more and more, and the productivity was like plummeting, and it was only a matter of time until I had a relapse, until I had a setback, basically. Because this is basically what happens. So we have our thoughts. And your thoughts, when you're thinking about something, when you're focusing on something, when you're giving something attention, then those thoughts turns into emotions. And emotions are really powerful. Emotion is like energy. Emotion is energy in motion. So those emotions, they have the energy, it has to go somewhere, and those emotions, they turn into actions. And actions, they turn into reality. So we have our thoughts. When you have a thought, like, and you can probably like you've experienced this on your own, like I'm 100% sure of it, you're just not aware of it. So when you have a certain thought, you are feeling some kind of emotion, right? Like when you are thinking about like whatever, your girlfriend broke up with you, right? Then you're thinking about that, and even though you're not experiencing it at the moment, because you're thinking about it, you feel a strong emotion. You feel anger, you feel sadness, you feel whatever. Then those emotions turns into actions, because you will do something. Like maybe you want to escape reality by playing video games, or using drugs or anything, or like maybe it motivates you for the better, like maybe you will go to the gym because of it. But point is, your thoughts will influence your emotions, your emotions will influence your actions, and the actions that you do, of course, is how you change your reality over time, because you will get what you basically repeatedly do. Every time you do a good habit, it compounds later on. Like, of course, like one time, one bad habit can't hurt. That is what we all think, right? But eventually, over time, it will compound. And this compounding effect can either be your best friend or your worst enemy. So that is why we have to really guard our thoughts. Like, what are you thinking about? And therefore, monk mode didn't really work, because there was a set time. There was a set time when the monk mode would be over. So you are always going to think about like the days, until you can do those things again. So I experimented with a lot of different ways. On how I can finally get rid of those bad habits, and how I can spend my attention towards actually achieving my goal. And I found out that there are 3 types of sacrifice. The first one is permanent sacrifice. So basically what you do here is you say to yourself, okay, I will never do those things again. Like for some people it might work, maybe for you it might work, but personally for me it was too much for my mind to comprehend, because my old identity, like I was thinking about them like all the time, right? And this some part of me he didn't want to let the bad habits go, because I just enjoyed them too much. I was like addicted. So permanently sacrifice, I tried it a few times, but every time I had relapses and I couldn't sustain that. So this didn't work. The second is indefinite sacrifice. And indefinite sacrifice basically means sacrificing. Oh no, never mind. My bad. That is actually the third one. The second one, what I was meant to write, was temporary sacrifice. And with temporary sacrifice, this was the monk mode, that there is a clear deadline for this many days. After that I can do the bad habits again, like the monk mode principle. But with this, what happens is you are, even though you're not doing the actions, you are thinking about them, because those habits, those bad habits will come closer and closer, because there is a set time for when you allow yourself to do those things anymore. So this didn't work for me either. And the third one, I already spoiled it. Yes, is indefinite sacrifice. And this one worked the best for me. It basically means sacrificing your bad habits until you've achieved the goal. So I sacrificed like everything, like games, like alcohol, drugs, sugar, Netflix, short form content, like you name it. I sacrificed all of them until I achieved a goal. So I set a goal in mind, and that was 10k per month. I know, pretty boring because everyone has 10k per month as a goal, but it was like a decent goal. So my commitment with myself was, I will sacrifice all of my bad habits until I've achieved my goal, and that is 10k per month. And basically what started to happen was, like, you don't know when you are able to do those things anymore, right? But the only thing you know is that it requires action. So I wasn't even aware of this principle, like that your thoughts shape your reality. But what I was doing was, I was not even thinking about those bad habits anymore, because I was thinking, what do I have to achieve my goal, and I keep having my goal in mind. And that became like the anchor. I didn't focus on the bad habits anymore. No, I focused on the goal so that I can have the bad habits later on. But the bad habits that I talked about, eventually my goal, because I kept thinking about my goal, I kept giving energy towards it, because I was thinking about them. Eventually I didn't even think about those bad habits anymore. Like, I only think about the goal. And so this indefinite sacrifice, sacrificing your bad habits until you achieve the goal, is in what worked for me personally by far the best. So that is one thing that will allow you to basically like direct your thoughts. Direct your thoughts so it doesn't so it doesn't focus on the bad habits anymore, but it focuses on the goal, where it actually is supposed to be. Now, there are some other things how you can direct your thoughts. And one is like detaching from it, because you will always have thoughts popping up inside your head. I like to see it as like the sky, for example, because the sky, it is always blue. It is always blue, but there are clouds in front of it. So your mind is like the blue sky. It is always steady. Your thoughts are like clouds, like passing by, and you don't have to cling to those thoughts, because when a thought passes by, then sure, that happens. Like, you can't stop it. There will always be thoughts popping inside your head. But what happens is, when you cling onto it, you keep repeating the same thought over and over and over again, and it keeps clouding your mind. So we have to let go. Once a thought pops up, we have to learn how to let go of these thoughts and just refocus our attention towards what we are actually doing, and that is like building a business, like achieving our goals. So there are a few things that could help. One is meditation. Now, there are many different types of meditation. The first meditation is just the observing, that you just are observing everything. Like, you are just basically what you do is you just sit still. It doesn't matter if you are in the lotus position, or if you are just in a chair, or like standing or lying down. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What you do is you just close your eyes and you observe everything. You first observe the sounds that you hear, that they come and go. Then you are going to observe the basically the thoughts that are popping up inside of your head. And what you basically start to notice is that both the outside world, so the so like everything outside of you, the sounds and stuff like that, and the inside world, so the thoughts, they come together. They are a happening, and you are just observing that happening. Then you also can observe your breath. And your breath is a funny thing, because it is both voluntary and involuntary. Because when you're thinking about your breath, you feel like that is something that you're doing. But when you're not paying any attention to it, it will just keep on going, like without you even thinking about it, without you even thinking like you're doing something. So this is first the how you can observe certain things, the observative meditation, if you want to call it that. And the second thing is just really focused. So you just sit down and you focus on your breath. And basically what starts to happen is you will get distracted by thoughts, by maybe sounds, and sometimes you will go in a thought train. Every time when that happens, it doesn't matter, just refocus back on your breath. And this is how you train your focus. By every time that you bring it back, you are becoming like a little bit better. It doesn't matter how many times you get distracted. It matters how many times you can bring it back. That is how you are training it. And first, you will experience it a lot of times, that you will get distracted a lot of times. And that is okay, because the more you get distracted and you bring it back, the more you improve. And meditation, the first way of meditation, the observatory meditation, it could literally be also when you are walking. Like, you can do meditation like everywhere, anywhere. It is just being aware, being observative, like detaching from your thoughts, basically. That is the first thing that you could do. The second thing is a little bit more practical, and that is basically a focus exercise. Exercise. Do you write it like that? I think so. With like basically what you do is whenever you're working or whenever you're doing anything, keep a notebook with you. And like, so you're working and you have a notebook. You will get distracted eventually, maybe by something external, like like a notification or something like that. But turn those off. But maybe like a sound, a bird that is sticking on your window, like whatever. Yes, every time you get distracted either by an external stimuli, so what I just talked about, or an internal stimuli, so maybe a thought, then you just write it down. And every time you get distracted, write it down. And eventually, what starts to happen is you will become more aware of the thoughts popping up inside of your head before it turns into a thought train. So do this for like 30 days. 30 days. It is really powerful, and that will make you more aware of the thoughts popping up. And when you have a really urgent thought, right, and you think, oh, I have to do that now, write it down. Write it down and come back to it later. That will train your focus as well. That will learn you to direct your attention better. Now, the last thing is pretty simple and really powerful. That is reading. Reading is incredibly powerful. It is one of the best habits that you can have, because like what I had, like, and maybe a lot of you with ADD, ADHD can relate. When you're reading something, you are reading it, but then you're thinking about other things in the meantime, and like half a page later you think, oh, what did I read again? So you have to restart over again. And basically, when you just start out with reading, this will happen a lot. But when you're reading, you are training your focus as well, because reading, it requires your full attention. Like, you need to do that. Compare that to watching videos. Like watching this video, for example, you are more in passive mode. You are like letting it all happen, basically. So if you want to consume content, then don't watch videos. Like, if you are watching this video, like let it be the last that you watch, at least for a while. Start reading instead, because like watching videos, like I said, is a passive form of learning. Reading is an active form of learning. It requires your full attention, so you are training your focus with it as well. So you're learning to direct your thoughts. And what also is good, like a variation. And by the way, reading books is way better than videos as well, because videos are often shallow. Like, I sometimes watch videos, but that is like to get inspired to do something else. For example, that is like if I see a video about I recently read one about saw one about like philosophy. I want to know more. I buy a book and I read that. So reading is the third thing. What you also can try is read out loud. So you are both like focusing mentally and you're doing something with it. So both, like all of your focus is directed to the thing that you do, and that is the reading. These three things will help you to direct your thoughts better. And when you can direct your thoughts, you direct your emotions. When you direct your emotions, you can direct your actions. And once you take the actions for a long enough time and you keep that focus for a long enough time, you will change your reality, you will achieve your goal, and you will thank yourself later in the future. So yeah, bye.